Jack Callahan is a man who lives two lives. On screen, he is a famous action hero, always ready to face dangerous challenges, bravely fighting to protect the innocent. With his sharp eyes and spectacular action scenes, Jack has captured the hearts of audiences worldwide. He is fearless, unyielding against evil, and always a role model for those seeking protection in a world full of injustice. However, off-screen, Jack is a completely different person. He does not seek the spotlight or attention from the media. In fact, his life outside of the film set is peaceful and quiet. Jack enjoys the tranquility that only his home nestled in a remote suburban area can provide. This is where he finds peace after long days on set, without the stage lights and cameras. Jack only needs a sense of freedom and calmness in the privacy of his home. Jack's home is located in a quiet, distant suburb, far from the noise of the city. Each day when the sun rises, he wakes up early and takes a walk with his loyal companion, Rex, a Rottweiler. Rex is not just a simple pet, but an integral part of Jack's life. Together they wander the deserted trails, enjoying the fresh air and the simple beauty of the surrounding nature. This is a life where Jack finds joy and relaxation. On tranquil afternoons, when the warm, golden sunlight blankets everything, he and Rex sit in the garden watching nature and relaxing. Jack doesn't need parties or attention from others. To him, this is what truly matters. A simple life, harmonizing with nature away from the hustle and bustle of the outside world. The scenery surrounding Jack's home is truly calm and peaceful. Green trees provide shade, dusty dirt paths stretch out, and the open space creates a perfect picture of the life of a man seeking tranquility. In this setting, Jack feels he is truly living according to his nature, free from the expectations or curious eyes of the public. In this life, Jack and Rex continue to enjoy peaceful moments together, facing everything the world brings, whether in dramatic action scenes or relaxing afternoons outdoors. Jack Callahan's peaceful life with Rex was suddenly disrupted one afternoon just like any other day. They often started their mornings with a walk through the quiet trails where Jack could forget the noise and tension of his work. Every step along the winding paths under the shade of the trees brought Jack a sense of relaxation and absolute peace. However, one afternoon as Jack and Rex entered their usual path, they noticed something was different. A group of strangers was gathered ahead, and they frequently passed right at the corner. These people looked completely out of place in the peaceful surroundings of the area. Instead of remaining silent and enjoying the fresh air as Jack and Rex always did, this group created an annoying disturbance. Loud voices and uncontrolled laughter shattered the tranquility of the forest. The people acted rudely, showing a disrespectful attitude toward everything around them. Some of the group even threw trash and littered the ground, making the once clean and fresh environment dirty. Jack could feel the difference in the air, a clear abnormality in their actions. This group of people appeared to be far from ordinary. They were dressed strangely in clothes that didn't match the surroundings, with dirty garments and odd-looking objects. Even though Jack didn't want to disrupt his peaceful life, he couldn't ignore this group. Rex, as if sensing the disturbance, gently tugged at his leash and seemed uncomfortable. The dog's eyes were fixed on the stranger's ears upright, as if warning Jack of potential danger. The abnormal signs became even more apparent when this group didn't seem to be walking or enjoying a casual stroll like the locals around. They stopped several times, discussing something, occasionally mocking and laughing loudly in an inappropriate manner. A few members even engaged in bizarre actions, seemingly unaware or indifferent to the disruption they were causing in the area's tranquility. Jack stood still, observing from a distance, trying to assess the situation. He wasn't someone who would easily interfere with others' affairs, but in this moment, his unease couldn't be ignored. These people didn't belong here, and Jack began to suspect their true intentions. Everything inside him was warning that the peaceful life he was enjoying was about to face a new challenge that he wasn't ready for. As Jack moved closer, his sense of unease intensified. Despite trying to remain calm, the rudeness and disrespect of the group made it impossible for him to ignore. While others continued to create noise and break the peaceful atmosphere, Jack noticed a heartbreaking sight. One of them, a large and aggressive man, was standing over a small creature, a puppy. The poor animal was trembling, trying to escape the man's assault, but unable to do so. The puppy was being ruthlessly beaten, its painful cries echoing through the stillness, making Jack's heart stop. Although he knew that intervening in such a situation could bring risks, Jack couldn't stand by and watch. He knew that it wasn't just about protecting a defenseless animal, but about his dignity and responsibility. This cruelty couldn't continue, and if he did nothing, he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. Without thinking further, Jack stepped toward the man and shouted, "Stop right now!" His voice was strong and authoritative, making the crowd fall silent. The man turned around, his eyes full of contempt as he looked at Jack. He didn't back down, but instead took a step forward, his eyes gleaming with challenge. "Who do you think you are to interfere with my business?" he growled, sneering at Jack. Jack wasn't afraid. He knew this was the moment to act. "You will not harm this animal anymore," he said, stepping closer to the man, his eyes never leaving the poor puppy under his foot. The tension in the air was palpable, as if it could explode at any moment. As the man advanced toward Jack, a tense confrontation ensued. Jack used his defensive skills, dodging punches and counterattacking with force. Each punch Jack threw carried the determination to protect life, to defend the weak. The fight wasn't just physical, but a battle of dignity, courage, and responsibility. The group began to laugh and cheer, but Jack didn't back down. He knew this wasn't about proving his strength, but about asserting that cruel actions would never be forgiven. Every time he dodged a blow or counterattacked, it served as a reminder to this group of the limits they should never cross. The fight lasted for a few minutes, but for Jack, each second mattered. Finally, after a decisive punch, the man collapsed to the ground, unable to continue. Jack stood panting, his eyes fixed on the puppy lying on the ground, trembling and panicked. Jack returned to the puppy, placing his hand on its frail body. "You're okay. I'll help you." This confrontation ended, but in Jack's heart, the responsibility to protect life and safeguard the dignity of all creatures continued. Here is the translation of the provided text into English after defeating the abusers. Jack quickly picked up the puppy and hurriedly left the area. The puppy's eyes filled with fear, looked up at him as if searching for protection and safety. Jack felt his heart tighten as he saw the small, weak animal, unable to defend itself, trembling with pain. He couldn't bear to let the puppy continue to suffer from the brutal actions and decided to take it home where it would be cared for and loved. Upon arriving home, Jack placed the puppy, now named Buddy, on a soft blanket in the living room. Rex, the loyal Rottweiler, who always accompanied Jack, stood nearby observing what was happening. Rex, a strong dog by nature, seemed more sensitive than usual today. He sniffed Buddy, engaging in silent communication as if Rex could sense the change in his life and Buddy's. It seemed that Rex understood that this wasn't just a new puppy in the house, but a new friend he had to welcome. Jack began to care for Buddy as he would for a true friend. He cleaned the wounds on the animal's body, gently applied medicine, and bandaged them. Buddy appeared very shy, occasionally whimpering when Jack touched the wounds, but Jack remained patient, never rushing, and spoke softly to comfort him. "Everything will be fine, Buddy," Jack whispered. "I'll help you recover." Over the next few days, Jack spent time with Buddy, monitoring his recovery and creating a safe environment. Rex was always close by sometimes, sitting beside Buddy as if guarding the little dog. Every time Buddy wagged its tail or started playing gently with Rex, Jack felt an immense joy. The friendship between Rex and Buddy developed gradually. Rex, a dog not easily befriended, seemed to realize that Buddy was not a threat, but a new friend. Though initially a bit hesitant, over time they became companions, often playing together in the yard. Jack noticed a distinct change in Buddy's attitude. The little dog, once fearful and panicked, gradually became more confident, looking at the world around with a curious gaze. Part of this change was due to the care and love Jack had given him, but it was also thanks to the new friendship that Buddy and Rex had built. With each passing day, Jack felt more grateful for rescuing Buddy and giving the animal a new chance at life, one free from fear or pain. Rex, like Buddy, was no longer a lonely dog. They had found genuine friendship in each other, and Jack couldn't help but feel proud of his decision. He hadn't just saved a dog from abuse, but had also given Rex a new friend. The three of them, Jack, Rex, and Buddy, had now become a real family, not just protectors, but true companions. After rescuing Buddy from the abusers, Jack couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. The little dog had not only been ruthlessly beaten, but could also be a victim of a larger criminal network that he couldn't ignore. With his decisive character and courage that never backed down, Jack decided to investigate and uncover the truth behind the cruel actions. Using the initial clues and his experience from action roles in the past, Jack began investigating the group responsible for Buddy's suffering. He didn't just rely on available information, but also used skills from his years of action films to identify the connections and unusual behaviors Jack found out the places they frequently visited, and began tracking their every move. Eventually, he discovered that this group was not only involved in animal abuse, but also had ties to a series of serious criminal activities. They were engaged in illegal animal trafficking, participated in underground street races, and even had links to organized crime. This group wasn't just harming animals, but also endangering the community and innocent people. As he delved deeper, Jack discovered that the group was led by a man named Victor Black. This man was not only a brutal thug, but also ran his gang with an iron fist and instilled fear. Victor Black had built a criminal empire by terrorizing those who dared oppose him. He had controlled the area with power and fear, and no one dared stand up to him. His followers were ruthless criminals willing to commit any crime to achieve their goals. Jack couldn't ignore this truth. He not only wanted to avenge Buddy, but also bring this gang to light and rescue the animals and other victims trapped under their influence. Every day, Jack gathered more evidence and documented the gang's activities. He quietly approached those involved, gathered confidential information, and looked for ways to expose the truth without revealing his identity. But he knew that confronting Victor Black and his gang was no simple task. Jack understood that to bring these criminals to justice, he needed to prepare carefully and act wisely. Every decision he made had to be calculated, because this battle wasn't just about Buddy's survival, but a battle against a dangerous criminal organization. Jack couldn't continue standing by while everything was escalating. After gathering enough information about the criminal gang led by Victor Black, he knew that if he wanted to expose them and protect innocent victims, he would have to face them directly. However, Jack understood that this was not a simple fight, and acting impulsively would only make things more dangerous. With his experience from years in the action film industry, Jack decided to plan carefully. He began to approach the issue cautiously, not rushing in, but observing and strategizing step by step. Using his past relationships, Jack started gathering more information about the gang's secret meetings by accessing reliable sources and infiltrating their informal gatherings. Jack gradually obtained crucial details. He didn't just track their movements, but also learned how they operated their objectives and what they were planning next. Each piece of information Jack gathered brought him closer to rescuing the captives and stopping the gang's cruel actions. However, during the investigation, Jack realized something alarming. He was getting closer to danger. Each time he approached a new meeting, he felt the tension in the air, as if Victor's gang was becoming increasingly aware of his presence. The criminal's vigilance grew, and Jack knew that if he wasn't careful, he could be discovered and put in a perilous situation. While gathering evidence on the gang's criminal activities, Jack realized that their crimes didn't stop at illegal animal trafficking and gambling. They were also involved in serious crimes like murder and weapon trafficking. The threat from this gang wasn't just large for the community, but also Jack himself. These details only made Jack more determined. He knew that to confront Victor's gang, he needed to be thoroughly prepared and accurately assess the level of danger. This wasn't just a fight for Buddy and the innocent animals, but a fight for justice and the safety of the entire community. Jack couldn't afford to make a single mistake. The confrontation between Jack and Victor Black's gang was inevitable. Even with his careful preparation, Jack knew that he would face an uneven battle. His years of training and fighting experience in the action film industry gave him excellent combat skills, but that wouldn't be enough to protect him from the overwhelming numbers of the gang. Victor Black wasn't just a dangerous criminal. He was a ruthless leader who knew how to manipulate his followers to become extremely dangerous. His henchmen weren't just strong, they were brutal, showing no hesitation when dealing with an enemy. Jack clearly felt the disparity between himself and his opponents. Although he had an advantage in tactics and personal strength facing so many enemies, he felt overwhelmed. Their attacks were not only powerful, but also extremely malicious. Every step Jack took was a struggle between life and death. Victor's henchmen constantly surrounded him, attacking from all directions, forcing him to move quickly and use all his skills to protect himself. While Jack fought against the crowd, a sense of imminent danger made him push himself harder. The exhaustion and wounds from the attacks made it difficult for him to maintain his strength. But Jack couldn't give up. He had to keep his spirit high, not just for himself, but for the innocent lives he was fighting to protect. Just when it seemed like everything was over, a familiar sound rang in Jack's ears. Buddy and Rex, his loyal four-legged companions, were not standing aside in this battle. In a moment, Buddy jumps into the midst of the circle, attacking the criminals who are holding Jack, while Rex quickly pulls Jack out of the dangerous situation. Buddy's strong tackles and Rex's precise strikes helped Jack escape from the criminals' grasp spectacularly. Buddy, once a small, weak puppy when he was rescued, had now grown into a strong and capable dog. Rex, the loyal Rottweiler, was not just a close friend, but also a brave warrior. They not only saved Jack from a life-threatening situation, but also reinforced the strong bond of friendship between man and his pets. Jack saw in Buddy and Rex's eyes the absolute trust and loyalty which deeply moved him. Thanks to the incredible support of his four-legged friends, Jack was able to escape from the criminal gang's encirclement. The confrontation was not only a physical battle, but also a lesson in friendship, bravery, and loyalty. Although the fight with Victor Black and his gang wasn't over, Jack knew that he would never be alone in this fight. After Jack gathered enough evidence about the criminal activities of Victor Black's gang, he decided that he could no longer wait. This information was not only crucial evidence for the gang's crimes, but also an opportunity to act, not just for Buddy, but for all the innocent creatures who had suffered from their cruelty. Jack didn't want to stop at just facing them with bare hands. He wanted to bring justice to those who had hidden behind the veil of crime all this time. As soon as he had enough evidence, Jack contacted the police and shared all the information he had gathered. This wasn't easy, because Jack knew that confronting a dangerous gang like Victor Black's could put not only him but also the people around him at risk. However, he also understood that if he did nothing, these criminals would continue spreading fear and cruelty over defenseless creatures. The police immediately took action. They were well prepared with the clear evidence Jack provided, and tracking down this gang was no longer a challenge. Synchronized raids were carried out at the facilities where Victor Black's group hid their criminal activities. The police arrested gang members and seized large amounts of weapons cache and documents related to illegal trade gambling and other criminal activities they had been involved in. The sight of the gang members being escorted out of their hideouts, handcuffed and with terrified expressions on their faces, was a clear sign of their downfall. The criminals who seemed invincible were now facing justice, and they couldn't escape. In particular, the leader of the gang, Victor Black, who had been behind all the cruelty and ran the group, was arrested on the morning of the raid. Not only had he caused harm to many innocent lives, but he had also built a criminal empire based on fear and the pain of others. Jack watched the investigation unfold from afar with a sense of peace and relief. Finally, the cruelty of Victor Black and his henchmen had been exposed. However, Jack also realizes that true justice isn't just about the gang being caught. True justice was about the change it would bring to society, creating a world that is safe and fair for all. It wasn't just the victory of a tense confrontation, but the victory of righteousness and courage. As time passed, Jack continued living the peaceful life he had chosen. His home in the suburbs remained serene with quiet afternoons spent walking with Buddy and Rex. But deep inside, Jack realized that his life had changed. While he was no longer the hero in action movies, What he had done made him realize an important truth. Justice didn't have to be served only in the world of fictional stories. It could happen in real life, too. Even small but meaningful actions could change the lives of others. Buddy, the small dog Jack saved from the criminals, had now fully recovered. It was no longer a frightened creature, but a loyal companion to Jack. Rex, the Rottweiler, who had always been by his side, was also happy and healthy. The three of them, Jack, Rex, and Buddy, now lived a peaceful life. But Jack knew that the memories of the battle with the criminal gang would always be an important part of his life. One day, while sitting on the porch watching Rex and Buddy play under the sun, Jack felt a profound sense of tranquility. He understood that true justice wasn't about big victories in dangerous battles, but about small acts protecting what deserved protection. In this journey, Jack not only protects innocent lives, but also finds an important message about friendship, loyalty, and the power of courage. Jack's story was not just about a man facing crime, but about the change an individual could bring to this world. Jack realized that every action he took, no matter how small, could change someone else's life. That was the message he wanted to share, that justice doesn't always require grand battles, but sometimes it only needs brave hearts, willing to stand up for the right values. Jack's life continued not as a hero in action films, but as a man who had truly made the world a better place with actions full of courage and love. After all the battles and sacrifices, Jack finally returned to the peaceful life he had always wanted. By his side were Rex and Buddy, his two loyal four-legged friends, always there to share every moment of life. Quiet afternoons on the empty road, the joyful barking of the dogs, and the moments spent with family had returned to peace. Life sometimes demands sacrifices, but Jack understood that every sacrifice had a reason and was worthwhile. It was the courage in the toughest moments that helped him realize that true joy doesn't always come from grand victories or daring adventures, but from the simplest things. It's the peace of coming home, knowing that you've done the right thing and helped creatures in need of protection. Though no longer a hero in action films, Jack felt happy that he had done something truly meaningful. He continued to spend his time helping animals in need of protection, and this mission became a part of his journey. He knew that in this world there were still many creatures needing protection, needing someone like him to stand up for them. With Rex Buddy and the tranquility of life, Jack found a small but priceless joy. In those moments, he realized that justice could be served not just through great actions, but sometimes just by a small act that means something to those in need. Thank you for following this story. If you enjoy stories of courage, friendship, and beautiful actions, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Stories like these always carry an important message. We need to remember, no matter how difficult the world gets, we can still make a difference with small but meaningful actions. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to share the inspiring moments in the next stories. Together we can spread beautiful values, protect innocent creatures, and always believe in the power of courage and kindness. Once again, thank you for supporting and following Jack, Rex, and Buddy's journey. We hope this story has brought you moments of relaxation and inspiration. Stay with us for more heartfelt and meaningful stories coming soon. See you in the next videos.